Namaste. How did China race ahead of India? Be it economy or the military budget, we see China stands multiple steps ahead of India. But why so? So let us examine certain points related to this topic. Myself, Ketan Dayal, and today we are going to look at a compact comparative study between India's and China's growth story. However, I will emphasize on China's rise as an economic power. And towards the end of video, I will be discussing the boycott China sentiment which is prevalent in the country right now. And can we make it a reality? So let's start it. Both India and China are ancient civilizations. Be it India or China, both started almost at the same point of time. India got its independence in the year 1947 and subsequently became a republic in the year 1950. Similarly, China, which is officially known as the People's Republic of China, was formed in the year 1949. At that point of time, India had a fair balance with China's economy and military might. Or we can even say that India had a slight edge over China at that point of time. While India started its journey under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, China began its journey under the leadership of Mao Zedong. Now, Mr. Nehru was of the firm view that India should have good relationship with China. He wanted to create a regional alliance with China. However, with time, the things not go as expected. During those times, we heard about the slogans like Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. But times changed and we actually had few confrontations with China. In 1962, we had a war with China. And secondly, in 1967, we also had a limited war with China at Nathula. While in 1962, our army was defeated by the People's Liberation Army of China, we actually gave a befitting reply in 1967. Even during 1967, the two countries had a fair balance between the economy and the military might. However, after 50 years, in the year 2020, we see that be it the economy or the military power, there is a huge gap between the two countries. Now let us look at the economic growth of China and the reasons behind it. Now China never got the economic push during the tenure of Mao Zedong. It was in the year 1978 that Deng Xiaoping came into the picture, who is also known as the father of modern China. He actually gave the economic push that country always required. And trust me, this was the turning point in the Chinese economy. It was 1978 that China opened its door for the foreign investment in the world to come and invest in China, while India was more a protectionist and a conservative economy. You must be remembering that the liberalization of trade happened in India in the year 1991. And 13 years of time is a big time as far as the economy is concerned. Initially, Chinese focused on developing their coastal areas. Now this was done in order to facilitate easy export and import of goods. This also brought much foreign investment or the investors to the country. Now secondly, one of the biggest reforms of China, I'll say, will be opening up the agriculture sector to the private players and getting it free from the state-owned partners. Now this actually revolutionized their agriculture sector and gave it the boost it always required. Now during those times, both India and China was going through population explosion phase. So what China did was, it brought single child policy. Now there may be demerits about the policy. It definitely helped them bring the population rate down. While we also see that India had schemes like Green Revolution, White Revolution or the family planning scheme, but somewhere down the line we lost the momentum or the execution or the implementation what was actually required. Now the Chinese very quickly recognized the importance of infrastructure development. So they started investing heavily in the infrastructure sector. This not only improved the economic status of the people but also improved the purchasing power of the individuals. Now the next thing that the Chinese did was to develop the labor intensive industries. Now this was done to serve two purposes. First, they wanted to provide employment to the large population, and secondly, they wanted to ensure that they make use of the cheap labor available in their country. So during this phase, there was a rise of textile, electronic and these kind of industries in China. So we see that the electronic industry that is booming today in China was actually due to the reason of infrastructure development back then in 1980s. Now as far as India is concerned, we had a bit different approach. We went for the heavy industries, and secondly we also went for the capital intensive industries that actually reduced cost. So this possessed a potential threat for job losses, or you can even say that creation of less job than that of a labor intensive industry. Now both the countries wanted to invest in the technological advancement aspects. However, as the Chinese economy was growing at a better pace than India, it had more room to invest in the research and development sector, and it did so. It was in the year 2001 that we saw China joining the World Trade Organization. However, China used this opportunity to use WTO rules to make gains against their adversaries, and maybe you can say misusing it. Now China had a very stable and a very good growth rate from 1980s to 2000. However, since 2000 they got an economic boom that their economy skyrocketed, and today they are the second largest economy in the world. Now let us talk about certain significant economic achievements of China. China is also the biggest manufacturing country, and not only this, China is expected to actually overtake US by 2030 in terms of nominal GDP. Now as far as manufacturing sector is concerned, China is at number 1 spot since 2010. But before that, it was US that dominated this sector for over 100 years. So we can understand why China and US have growing discomforts with one another. In 2018, China became the number 1 country to have the most number of billionaires around the world. It also became the number 2 country to have the most number of millionaires around the globe. Now this report mostly paints a very rosy picture of the Chinese economy, but they have their limitations, they have their issues. Now as far as the rural areas of China is concerned, there still exists a lot of inequalities or issues prevalent. But still what we can say is that they are better placed than us. As we have already discussed the significant achievements of the Chinese economic model, so let us reflect on some comparative data related to economic and military growth of the two countries. This data will help us understand how economic prosperity and military might of any country is interrelated. Now looking at the GDP data, we see that there was not much difference in size of Indian and Chinese economy in the year 1960. However, with time, the gap between the two economies widened more and more. In the year 1980, we had a glimpse of how this gap was going to become bigger in the coming decades. The same trend from 1980 was followed in the year 1990 as well. In the next decade, we saw the further boom of Chinese economy, and it stood 4 times of the Indian economy. Today, we are in 2020, and we see that the Chinese economy is almost 5 times bigger than the Indian economy. So this data suggests that how a prosperous China on economic front had the extra room for upliftment of their military expenditure exponentially. Now coming to the military expenditure data, in 1990 the defense budget of China was not much bigger than India. But by the year 2000, China's defense budget was almost $15 billion, bigger than India's defense budget. This pattern continued, and in 2010, India's defense budget was 3 times less than Chinese defense budget. Finally, today in 2020, China's defense budget has grown almost 4 times that of India's defense budget. So by now, after looking at these data, it is crystal clear that economic growth is base for any military growth. It is very clear that Chinese defense budget has become such huge because of their booming economy. So similarly, India needs to work on their economy so that the government has the room to provide adequate funds to defense forces for upgradation. This will play a critical role in ensuring safe and secure borders by a well-equipped army.